Hello, everyone, and welcome to UGA Sports Rumors versus Facts. I am Blaine Gilmer here with my co-host, national recruiting analyst, Jed May. We're coming off a very, very talent-laden rivals camp in the Atlanta area and also a big first weekend of official visits, these late May official visits, Jed. So, did you get as sunburned as I did out at the rivals camp?
Not really sunburned, but I'm working on a nice watch tan line now. I've never been a watch guy until about a year ago. I got an Apple Watch, so I'm finally working on a watch tan line. So really excited to see how that develops over the rest of the summer.
Yeah, so now that's what I'm saying. You got to stay committed to it now. You can't back out. The watch will fade away. We got to keep that perma watch on your wrist there throughout the summer, because I know Jed with his new role here with not only UGA Sports but with Rivals is going to be everywhere. You're going to see him at 7-on-7s, all this kind of stuff. He's going to be putting the miles on the vehicle and going around different places. He's trying to get that when we go on a trip to New Orleans, Las Vegas, wherever. He's trying to get Roddy to upgrade him to that suite, like stay in the executive suite or something.
Yeah,
something.
last year when we went to Indianapolis, I had to share a hotel room with Dash, and Roddy got his own room. So now, if Georgia makes a playoff next year, I'm trying to flip that, get my own room, and have Roddy and Dash share. So
yeah, hey,
that's the goal.
Don't know if that's going to work out for you, but you can always hope. You can always hope. No, but guys, we appreciate everybody being on here as always. Every Monday we come live to you on the UGA Sports YouTube channel. How about the UGA Sports YouTube channel hitting 27,000 subs? So thank you to everyone out there. It's been now, I believe, officially the largest Georgia outlet on YouTube. So it's kind of crazy how much it's grown throughout this last 6-8 months. So appreciate everybody doing that. And if you don't, hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Go ahead and throw us a like while you're in here. We're going to be reading YouTube comments tonight, vault questions. We're going to be talking about the official visits of Jayden Wayne, who I just got off the phone with. Also Monroe Freeling. Who else was here? Dashawn Womack was there as well. Grayson Pup Howard, that was not an official. I believe, Jed, when we were talking to Sammy Brown, he even mentioned that there may be an official for Grayson Pup Howard coming up, I think June 17th through 19th.
Yeah, either second or third weekend of June, I think, is what Sammy said. And that's a guy that he's a little on the hard side to get in touch with, but it seems like he really loves Georgia. Just when you look at his social media, and he pops, he's one of those guys like Trent talks about, these guys that pop up in Athens all the time. Grayson Howard's one of those guys.
Quote, "I'd be stupid not to," is what his caption said, with a hashtag Go Dogs on it. So that is what Grayson Howard thought. And I was talking in a circle, like if a guy puts out a top 5 and Georgia's in it, and he has the middle nickname of Pup, and there's Georgia there. I mean, how there you see NIL opportunities, T-shirts, everything. I think that he may be stupid not to. That would be he's maybe a self-fulfilling prophecy if he doesn't end up going to Georgia there. So Glenn Schumann putting in work on that one, and of course spending time with Sammy Brown on the annual scavenger hunt. So Jed, while I kind of share this out to social media and everything like that, go ahead and tell people, what the scavenger hunt's all about, what they kind of do, all that kind of stuff that you've learned and gleaned from your conversations with these recruits.
Yeah, so it's a thing where basically it's a day that it seems like it's for recruits to get to know the campus a little bit more and spend time with the coaches outside of looking at film or sitting in the stands watching a game. When I talked to Sammy Brown, he said there was a karaoke round spot, whatever. There was a name that movie round, and then every group, I think the recruits are broken up into position groups. So Sammy Brown and Pup Howard with Glenn Schumann, Jayden Wayne, those guys with Chidera Uzodribe, and on and on. Every group eventually ends up finding Kirby Smart and taking a picture with him. So Sammy Brown, in his case, inside linebackers their trivia question was, where did Kirby Smart get his degree from, or something like that. So they go to Terry College of Business on Georgia's campus. Boom, Kirby Smart's there, and they get a picture. So it's one of those. Georgia ends up with a cookout every summer too, and the scavenger hunt's one of those sort of marquee events of the summer where they bring in a lot of top targets, guys that, or basically from our perspective, if a guy is here at the scavenger hunt, he's a guy that Georgia's really interested in. We need to keep an eye on. Like Sammy Brown, Jarrett Gibson, the running back, was there. Dashawn Womack, Jayden Wayne. Jaden Davis, the quarterback, number one quarterback, I believe, in
Did you say
2024.
Daniel Calhoun already?
Daniel Calhoun, one of the I believe the top offensive tackle for 24. So guys like that, and it's a chance for those guys to get to know those coaches. I mean, especially in Daniel Calhoun's case with Stacy Searles just coming over and starting in Athens. So yeah, it's one of those marquee recruiting events of the summer. It held a little, I believe it was toward the end of June last year, so it's a little earlier on the calendar this year. But yeah.
Yeah, if you're at the scavenger hunt or you are at the Dog Days of Summer cookout event or you're on the first weekend of official visits, you are a major priority for this. Just judging off the pattern that has occurred over the last few years of Georgia recruiting. So, and that couldn't be more true with what's coming up. It was announced just going into over the weekend that Arch Manning will be in town June 3rd through 5th, along with Justice Haynes, along with Pierce Spurlin. Hearing whispers that TJ Shanahan may make his way into Athens for that weekend as well. Caleb Downs will be there. So these are the blue chip guys, Jed. This is looking to be a huge first weekend in June official visits. But before we get to that, we do have to kind of break down. You mentioned some of these guys in the scavenger hunt deal. There's two edge rushers that took official edge defenders that took official visits to Athens, and Jayden Wayne and Dashawn Womack that Georgia really, really wants. And before we get into kind of how those specifically went, Jed, we've talked about it for weeks now. Chidera Uzo-Diribe has a specific body type that he seems to be going by. I mean, arms that go for days, that 6'4" to 6'6" frame. Both of these guys fit in that. And we're also going to talk about some other guys that fit that frame later in the show, but it just kind of stays on par for the course with what Uzo-Diribe has been doing on the trail right now.
Right, and we saw another one of those guys on Saturday in Kavion Henderson, a 24 guy out of Alabama. Same thing, really long, athletic, rangy on the edge. So, yeah, Jayden Wayne is a guy that we've all heard about for a long time. He went to, I believe, Charleston Southern last year. He came for G-Day. Now he's back again for an official. Dashawn Womack is a guy that's a little not lesser talented, but I guess lesser known nationally. But like you said, another one of those guys that Chidera Uzo-Diribe loves in terms of body type and all that kind of stuff. And it looks like the picture he posted on, I don't know if it was Twitter or Instagram, but it looks like he had a whole bunch of people down in Athens with him, a bunch of family members. So, yeah, Georgia's right there in it. They've got a good shot with Womack and Wayne, of course, too. Yeah,
I'm going to pull up the Instagram post and put it up here in a minute because I know Georgia fans will want to go see Dashawn Womack's Instagram and even follow the young man. You know, that's how you keep up with a lot of these guys. Now, Jed, if it's not on Instagram, it's not official. You know, like Instagram, Twitter, all that is kind of where these kids operate now. And Dashawn's actually a good follow on Instagram. Puts a lot of content up and things of that nature. So we'll put that up here in just a minute. But as far as Dashawn Womack, he comes from St. Francis Academy up in the Baltimore area up there, which is the same school that Jamon Dumas-Johnson came from. That is now going to be a kind of the right there de facto heart and soul of that Georgia defense with Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker and Channing Tindall all moving on. Jamon Dumas-Johnson had some flash moments last year, in fact. But I mean, when it comes down to it, you know, familiarity with a school is a big deal. And Uzo-Diribe is I'm sure going to be leaning on that connection with Jamon Dumas Johnson and the familiarity there. But Dashawn Womack, when you look at him, it's just the length of this young man. I mean, people were making references to Stretch Armstrong with his selfie that he took at the arms go on for days. So it is definitely fits that mold. I just got off the phone with Jayden Wayne, who is one of the top prospects in the entire country, Jed, regardless of position, not just edge defender, but he's in I believe it Rivals top 10 prospect in the class of 2023, a 5-star out of Tacoma, Washington. And he just said that every time he goes to Athens, it gets to be a stronger family feel. Also said that this is the visit that, with it being his official, where he really got a chance to sit down with Kirby and kind of go over their plan for him if he were to come to Georgia. Obviously got to see and analyze all the earnings that the guys made in the NFL draft this not only this past year but several other years from UGA. So there's a lot going on that I'll have a full article on that coming out on Jayden Wayne's visit. Have that out tomorrow. But he's really building. He was getting mainly recruited by Dan Lanning, had a little bit of a lull. He said Chidera Uzo-Diribe really revitalized his recruitment with Georgia. Uzo-Diribe is only about 10 years older than this kid. So, I mean, they're very relatable and talk a lot. So, and Glenn Schumann, all these guys really, really involved here in the recruitment of Jayden Wayne. So, that would be a huge, huge bolster to and here we're joined by Mr. Trent Smallwood. Trent, welcome in, man.
Hey.
So we're just talking about Jayden Wayne. I told Jed I just got off the phone with him before the show. And, anytime you can have a top 10 recruit in the entire class of 2023 on campus, I mean, that's a huge deal. And we were talking about the relatability of Uzo-Diribe being such a young coach there at his position now and kind of having taken over the lead recruitment for Dan Lanning. But I mean, it seems like, with Alabama's going to be there late in the year in this one. He's going to save an official sometime for them. He's going to take one to Miami, LSU, and Oregon this summer. Could take a return visit on an unofficial basis to Georgia for a game this fall, but he just seems to keep showing up in Athens. So as long as that's going on, and if this thing drives to December, I mean, you got to feel like the Dogs are right in there with this one.
Yeah, definitely. I think the key is, like you said, getting him back on campus, because he's going to have, 3 or 4 other visits to kind of take the excitement off this Georgia visit. And, I guess, so there'll be some negative recruiting going on, but he'll have some of those visits. But the key is getting him back on campus for unofficial visit and kind of keeping that momentum in Georgia's favor in that department.
Yeah, no doubt. So we had him, and also Jed, the other official visit was Monroe Freeling, and you've kind of kept up with the recruitment of Monroe. Stacey Searles trying to build a connection there, and Stacey Searles still trying to get his bearings, I think, from taking over the recruitment class when he did. But Monroe Freeling is a guy that they've targeted for quite a while.
Yeah, and I think Monroe is somewhat unique because he had a relationship with Searles going by North Carolina, but he also has a very strong relationship with Eddie Gordon, who's a guy that when you talk to these offensive line recruits, that's a guy that's brought up a lot. The offensive line graduate assistant, Blaine, we talked to Cam Pringle at that camp in Charlotte. He mentioned Eddie Gordon as a guy he talks to a lot. So he's a guy that was involved in these guys' recruitments anyway, but I think Eddie Gordon needs to be commended for the job he did sort of keeping these guys on the rails. That's not a good word, but just keeping contact with these guys while Searles has gotten his bearings. So, Monroe was here for an official this weekend, and Notre Dame is there, North Carolina is still there, Clemson, I believe, is in there. So, but yeah, it's the fact that Georgia's been able to build the relationship up enough to get him on campus for an official even is definitely a good sign as they look to try to add to that offensive line class.
That offensive line class is has a little bit of mystique to it. They got Bo Hughley there. They got Raquez McKeldery, who we saw at the Rivals Atlanta camp. But really, Madden Sanker, of course, is right there in there where Georgia's competing, but he was sporting the Louisville socks there at the camp. I mean, he's getting a lot of Michigan State, Louisville, all these different schools kind of coming after him. But I think Georgia will have a prime opportunity once they get him on campus, which he won't come for an official visit because he lives so close and he's been there so many times. But I would look for him to come back a couple of times, probably for unofficial opportunities, maybe that cookout that we talked about late in the summer, things like that. But overall, Trent, the offensive line class, like I said, is just a little bit murky right now. Still looking for guys to kind of separate themselves. But as Jed pointed out, having Monroe Freeling on campus, really, there's two things that Coach Donnan has talked to me about recruiting over there. He said follow the visits, and just see when those offers come to see how it's playing out. So they've been on him early and they got him on campus for an OV. So you got to feel like Georgia's kind of doing their job with Monroe Freeling.
Yeah, and you don't know what kind of recruiter. I mean, Stacey Searles has been in the business for a long time, but like you were talking about with Eddie earlier, he's the one that extended the offer to Jimothy Lewis Jr. This past week. Stacey, he said he had not talked to Stacey Searles yet, so I don't know. Stacey Searles might be that type of guy to be able to sit down in a room and kind of show them on film what their role might be or how they would fit into the offense. But it doesn't seem like he's doing as much. And Coach Eddie's doing a lot of the reaching out and communicating, keeping that relationship going. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this offensive line group. I think the key is being able to keep Amarius Mims on campus. I think that was it's almost like a 5-star pickup. I know he's on the team, but trying to keep these guys out of the portal is big. But keeping him on campus at that offensive tackle position for the future, and Georgia's got some work to do on the offensive line. They got 2 committed, but I think trying to get Madden Sanker and guys like Monroe Freeling and a couple more tackles, I think that'll be key for Stacey Searles in this class.
And the center out of Kennesaw Mountain, Connor Liu, he put Georgia in his top 4 this weekend as well. And he's been to Athens a couple of times. Here's that picture I promised earlier. I'll go ahead and share it up on the screen for everyone. This is Dashawn Womack, and the man Ben Bachman would be happy with this. He's repping the Maryland flag behind him. There is from the state of Maryland up there with the being from St. Francis Academy. But you can see right there his Instagram, WOMXCK15. So if you want to follow that young man, he puts out a lot of stuff on Instagram over there. But these photos, all of this kind of stuff, guys, that's what it's all about in these official visits. They come, they get the treatment with the capstone project. Did you guys see that in our group message? They're already using that on official visits. Jed, was that a artist there at the University of Georgia doing their senior project or something? And
yeah,
I mean, hours and hours of work.
Just a huge, not even really a painting, like a mural almost.
Yeah, a mural
of Georgia football history. Just very, very, very impressed about it. I wish I knew the girl's name or where you could find it, but it's really, really cool. I don't know where it is, but it's a really, really, really cool painting.
Yeah, and they're already putting recruits in front of it, things like that. Kirby and others taking pictures in front of it. So Georgia's leaving no stone unturned when it comes to any kind of experience, whether it comes to, and that's a big part of this NIL stuff, right? The social media aspect, because those followers for these young men, those followers organically turn into opportunities. If they get up into the 6 figures, hundreds of thousands of followers, then that organically turns into influencer opportunities and things of that nature. So it's all connected, all of these photos, all these pictures and things like that. So Georgia fans, Texas fans, Alabama fans of their schools following these prospects, following these young men, that's a big part of it as well. they pay attention to that. That's just the world that we live in now today with all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hit a couple of these that were on YouTube from earlier. Zach Watson said, hey guys, love the knowledge and listen to the show every week. From on the road, I'm a trucker. Would love your thoughts on defensive men from Valdosta who just committed. Like to see hometown boys making it big. So he's talking about Gabe Harris. That would be there. Jed, Trent, you guys have seen him in person and seen how he kind of operates. Tell people about Gabe Harris and what Georgia is getting in Gabe Harris, who's already a member of this class of 2023.
Gabe Harris is a Chidera Uzo Deribe guy. Really long, really explosive off the edge. I saw him at the Georgia Elite Classic last November, and I think he had like 3.5 sacks. He had another tackle for loss. I mean, just absolutely dominated the game, was the best player on the field. And moving from Thomas County Central to Valdosta this year. But yeah, he is what Chidera Uzo Deribe wants at that position. And when you look at Georgia's outside linebacker group last year, they had Michael Williams, Darius Smith, CJ Madden, Marvin Jones. I think Gabriel Harris, personally, to me, is a little more in that Marvin Jones mold than Michael Williams. He's not as big as Michael Williams. Maybe more in that Nolan Smithy type, not less like a Trayvon Walker or Michael Williams. But I think he's going to be a guy that comes in and will battle for playing time right away, or at least has the potential to.
Yeah, I think the biggest adjustment for all these guys is just, physically taking on the run, taking guys on the edge, like pulling linemen, things like that, having to deal with big tight ends, all that kind of stuff. But, I think Gabe Harris has that frame that he'll take to it, like a fish to water, so to speak, and just absolutely do really well for Georgia. And Trent, you gotta, if you're analyzing the outside linebacker recruiting for Georgia, just continues to trend upwards, because Michael and Marvin Jones Jr. could easily make impacts this year, I believe, even though you got Nolan Smith and Robert Beal who are already there. I think those guys are going to be really, really competing for playing time. And, don't overlook what Chaz Chambliss was able to do last year as a freshman.
Yeah, and you look for that drop off when you have those coaching changes, especially a guy with like Dan Lanning, who's kind of he's been there and done that in this business, and he's pulled the Adam Andersons and the Nolan Smiths and Jermaine Johnson, who just went in the first round. So I think he went in the first round. Did he drop? They dropped low.
No, Jermaine Johnson went in the first round. Yeah.
Okay. He pulled all those guys off the recruiting trail, and now you lose him, and you think there might be a drop off in recruiting at the outside linebacker position, but they're really, up to this point, it's all been kind of steady at that position. I'm looking at that position, looking at, of course, the offensive line. With what Matt Luke, is kind of a drop off from what Sam Pittman, which anybody would be a drop off from Sam Pittman, the way he recruited in Athens those couple of years, or those 4 or so years he was in Athens. But I'm looking at the offensive line, looking at the outside linebacker, and I think Coach, I'm not even going to pronounce his name, because Jed, he does the best job at this.
Uzo
Deribe. There hadn't been much of a drop-off. Everything's been kind of smooth sailing at that position. And, of course, Kirby's on that side and helping him out. But I just like his energy recruiting. And I think the recruits kind of relate to that. And
and he's 29 years old.
Oh, yeah. He's got plenty of energy. But, yeah, I like the way he goes about everything, on social media. He gets out there and cuts up with everybody. And, they're out there talking about rap lyrics sometimes. But
shoe game with him and Tamarian Parker. They're comparing shoes, which ones they're playing and which ones they're going to buy next.
Yep. And prospects just relate to that. Prospects like to know, not only are they going to get developed, but, they're going to be comfortable with that recruiter on campus. And I think he's doing a great job.
Yeah, for sure. I think now here's the thing. There's a lot of excitement you see on the vault, on the board, all that kind of stuff for Uzo Deribe and for Fran Brown. Yet neither one of those guys have really, actually pulled one in yet, other than Gabe Harris, which was right at the beginning in that transition period. So we'll see if it turns into two commitments. But you got to think with just the opportunities that Fran Brown has opened up in the northeastern area of the country, and also Uzo Duribe with his time in Kansas and in Texas. I mean, that's going to open up some doors right there, and also different backgrounds, things of that nature. So Kirby Smart's very calculated in who he hires, why he hires them, things like that. And you have to think both of those guys are off to a really great start when it comes to recruiting for Georgia. So those are the official visits right there from the weekend. And we touched on that YouTube question, but without further ado, let's get to the questions from the vault. And our first one, Jed, is from Mr. Sandbar Bathroom.
Yep. How would you rank these edge guys we are recruiting? Jayden Wayne, Tamarian Parker, Samuel Mpemba, Dashawn Womack, I forget the first name, but Adebawore, Quay Rusaw, and Gabriel Harris. Are we in it for Adebawore much more than what is reported?
Yeah, so I saw Adebawore there for the G-Day game. I mean, he was there. He's been there to Athens a couple of times. I think you got to wait to see if he pulls the trigger on an official visit before it gets, he is coming. When is his official?
Give me a second to look that up. He told me when I interviewed him. Let me look.
But he's coming later this month or later in June.
I believe so. Let me look.
So we'll see, if in fact some guys playing, if he in fact makes his way to campus, things like that. But we know that Jayden Wayne's already taken his. Tamarian Parker's gonna have one to Georgia. Womack's already taken his. And Mpemba, you don't know if he's gonna take an official or not. Adebawore is planning to, according to Jed. And Quay Rusaw will take an official visit. It's just undetermined whether that will be in the summer or in the fall for a game. I would say if I was ranking those, Trent, I'm putting on, if I'm trying to interpret Georgia's board, I'm saying that, Jayden Wayne and Quay Rusaw, taking Gabe Harris out of the equation because he's already committed. I'm saying Jayden Wayne and Quay Rusaw are the two biggest wants there. And then Womack is kind of nipping at their heels. And Mpemba, obviously he's a 5-star, but here's the thing about Mpemba. He's been more of a tight end type player at IMG. He's played some defense and stuff like that, but it's not been fully committed defense wise. So, it'll be interesting to see how he transitioned into that. I know he's a phenomenal athlete, like I said, but there's just more proven experience when it comes to those other guys on the edge.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would, pull that list back up. Did we miss anybody among that list? Jayden Wayne's definitely, Jayden Wayne Rusaw is definitely top of the list. I mean, Tamarian Parker is a great, an outstanding player. I think he's a touch below those two for sure. And Womack, I think Womack and Parker, Mpemba, yeah, those two are right. Those three are behind the other two, but all five of them are I think Georgia would be happy with any of those, 2 or 3 guys in the edge.
Yeah, and Adebawore is one of those guys that came on late, right? When he came on when Uzo Duribe came on. So he's one of those guys that there was a rash of offers that went out when Uzo Duribe came on board. So we'll kind of, like I said, you got to let that one develop. And I think you also got to see how things go. But here's the thing, Jed, I don't think you're going to see Jayden Wayne or Quay Rusaw make a decision before December. And I don't think you'll see Samuel Mpemba Mpemba make a decision before December either.
Yeah, and looking at the article I wrote about Adebawore, I mean, right here, Georgia offered him on February 10th, right after Uzo Duribe took the job, and his official visit is the second weekend of June when he'll be back in Athens. And another thing that I have noticed, I mean, he's one of those guys, and we've seen this with Samuel Mpemba too. There's an African heritage type thing that Uzo Duribe has used to relate to several guys. And we've seen, guys posing with national flags and some of these official visit, or not even official visit, unofficial visit pictures. Yeah. Adebawore is another one of those guys. He really liked he really liked Uzo Duribe when he was here. It's Oklahoma, Iowa, Northwestern. Other schools locked in for officials. So, yeah, it's like you said, that's one of those ones where getting him back on campus, spending more time with Uzo Duribe, and obviously more time with the rest of the coaching staff too. But yeah, Adetobowa, he's a high 4-star. So if he's number 5 on that board or whatever you pulled up, that'd be a pretty good quote unquote.
It just shows you, it just shows you the level of talent that Georgia's going after at that position. And like I said, you got Gabriel Harris already committed. Michael Williams and Marvin Jones Jr. will be there once again. Chaz Chambliss is still there. I mean, they're going to be loaded for the next couple of years over there. So they're very selective in who they target and go after. And like I said, there's a literal chart. Okay, there's a literal chart of body type, 40 time, all this kind of stuff, and you've got to meet all the boxes, and these guys do. And then after they kind of meet those boxes, then it's more going into, okay, how does the film look? What's the work ethic like? Talking to people around them, how do they treat others? Things of that nature. So it's a complete process, but all of these guys hit those metric check marks that Georgia likes to check off right at the beginning, and Uzo Duribe is really, really seeming to find a type he likes there. So,
and we're not even mentioning Darius Smith. So,
and Darius Smith is.
If you want me to go on another Darius Smith round, I will. It's been so long since I went on one.
Yeah, Darius Smith is just an absolute. I know the term freak is overused in football now and recruiting, things of that nature, but he's as athletic as they come in track and field. What he can do, what he can do with a basketball in his hand, almost flat-footed, jumping up and dunking. It's unbelievable how athletic Darius Smith is. So Georgia certainly will not be lacking on the edge department. All right, what's up, dog? Your thoughts on which player that might unexpected – oh, wait, this is a question from last week. I kept up there, so we'll keep that one. Go ahead.
Go with that again. Arch Manning?
Go with Pine Tree there, Jed. I got to get what's up, dog's question. I hadn't updated his. Go ahead and get Pine Tree's question there.
Were you guys surprised the big scavenger hunt weekend didn't feature more 2023 guys? It seems other coming weekends in June have the bulk of the 23 targets.
I just think that because of how it lined up this year being, last year, I think it was in June. This year it's in the end of May, and trying to schedule guys around spring ball and also with camps and stuff like that starting up. I just think it was kind of get who you could get there. Is that your sense of it, guys?
Yeah, I guess, but there was still plenty of top talent there.
You had official visits there.
Yeah, and you look at the 24 class too. Probably your top quarterback target now. Dylan Raiola's gone. Jaden Davis was there.
Yeah, that's true.
Eric Gibson. There was a bunch of guys there. So I don't know. I don't think there's anything to be read into that. I just think it's like you said, Blaine. It's the weekend falls where it falls, and you get who you get.
I think fans are so used to. I know Kirby's been here for a time, but you're so used to having that one big weekend. A summer when Mark Rick was here and stuff like that, and from the contact that I've talked to, they always said every weekend's a big weekend. Especially during weekend, they're loaded with prospects, and unless they have like the staff are out of town one weekend where they don't have anybody, majority of the weekends, every weekend's a big weekend during the summer, especially during end of May, June. So they're bringing in guys every weekend, and I wouldn't look much into the what they did this past weekend, because I think every weekend Kirby has the opportunity to have prospects on campus, and he's going to do it big. Every weekend's going to be big, and so I wouldn't look much into that.
Yeah, and also too, you gotta think there's some strategy behind the guys they had on there, and making those guys, making Jayden Wayne know that he, they're going to take time to spend with him. He's going to be viewed as very important. Jayden Wayne in the 2024 class. Let's say something goes awry with Arch Manning. Well, Jaden Davis is who they're turning to in that 2024 to be the next guy. So being intentional with him, even though it was an unofficial, things like that. So there's a strategy behind it and how they go about spreading this stuff out. But I'll say this, like I said before, if you're there for the scavenger hunt, for the cookout at the end of the summer, or for the first weekend of official visits in June, it seems like now, those are 3 of the high water marks there for Georgia now. So all of those guys should be viewed as priority guys. And like I said before, we've just crossed the 27,000 subscriber mark here on UGA Sports YouTube channel. Really appreciate everybody doing that. If you don't already, it's free. Just take that cursor down there a couple inches, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications. You get to listen to Roddy and Dane and Coach Donnan on Tuesdays, us on Monday nights, Paul, Ben, and the guys on Sunday nights for the call-in show, and many, many more things that are going to be coming as we get closer to the season. In the season, we have the post-game overreaction shows. So there's lots of good stuff to take in, lots of content coming your way here from UGA Sports. So we appreciate everybody tuning in and subscribing. Here is the correct question, Jed, from What's Up, Dog?
And it's still Arch related. Imagine that. On a scale of 1 to 10, will Arch sign with our Dogs, with 10 being the best prediction? The answer will substantiate your credibility in the world of recruiting. So, Trent, you're the Arch Manning beat writer. You go first.
Am I on mute?
Yeah. From 1 to 10. Oh, he just gave his number, but he was muted, so now we can't do it again. He can't say it over again. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't like all this 1 through 10 stuff. I don't know.
Tell you what, Trent, is it over or under the amount of runs the Phillies have got on the board against?
How many they got?
6, I think, right?
Oh, it's 7. I don't know. I'd take it maybe 6.89.
All right.
I mean, I think the chances, if you're, I look at it more in, odds making and stuff like that, right? So I think Georgia would be a betting favorite in my opinion. So I just say it's greater than 5, right? Because Georgia's a favorite, and you still, as we learned this weekend, you cannot predict anything that's going to happen with Nick Saban. Or what comes out of his mouth. It's
not helping him. I know that.
It may not be helping him, but who knows? There's guys out there that say any publicity is good publicity, and Alabama certainly had a lot of it. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, Texas is the big threat to Georgia there, but I think Georgia getting the first official visit is a big deal for Arch. I think a lot of people on the vault, I saw we're kind of debating back and forth. Does that mean whoever gets the last official visit? I think that is changing. I think you used to want to get the last official visit because you left that last impression. But now with the how things go with putting together basically plans for these guys and also, showing them what your school can do for them in terms of long-term and after football, things of that nature. Arguably nobody recruits better on campus than Georgia does. So why not get the guy in there early and set the bar when you've only got a couple officials and you know that Arch is only taking them to Alabama and to Texas. So trying to get it in there before. So not only is Georgia going to be fresh on his mind when he goes to Alabama and Texas. I mean, everything will be compared to that. So I think that's just trying to set the bar high.
I will say that when it comes to that, Georgia did get the visit that they wanted, the staff. So I think that's an important thing to look at. Georgia wanted that first visit in June, and that's what they got. So that's big for the Georgia staff to be able to get the visit that they wanted, and then the other 2 fall behind.
Jed, he's also going to be visiting with 2 of his better friends in this entire class when it comes to Justice Haynes and Pierce Spurlin.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, Pierce too. And that's the thing where every weekend's a big weekend, but that's the weekend where there's so many of these priority guys coming in. Like Blaine, I think it was you that posted that picture on the vault of last year, and it was Denylon was already committed. I don't remember who it was, but
Denylon was already committed, but 4 out of the 6 guys in that picture ended up, and that was the big first weekend. And I always like to point back. Troy Bowles was also there for that weekend, even though he was a junior.
So,
so
you look at it, and it's and the thing too is when we talk about first visit, last visit, if Arch was committing like 2 weeks after that last official visit, that'd be one thing. But with how long this recruitment could go, like if he's going to commit a couple months after this last official, so I don't think that would matter very much. But like Trent said, Georgia's positioned where they want to be with a big weekend, and that's it.
I will throw this out there, and for obvious reasons, I cannot say who, but there is someone that I had a conversation with that if there's anybody that would know about this recruitment, this person would, and they're very, very, very happy, as Trent said, with the timing of this visit for Georgia and the general direction of the recruitment. UGA Sports has been told multiple times by multiple sources that the Manning parents, Arch's parents, really, really like Georgia. Probably if there was such thing as a prohibitive favorite with Arch's mom and dad, that Georgia would be it. So, who knows? We'll see how much that holds truth. But there's a lot of positive momentum in the Arch recruitment, and with Georgia just getting one of those final 3 officials, and we'll see Trent at what all comes to fruition. But the fact that Jayden Wayne is, not Jayden Wayne, Jaden Davis and other quarterbacks are coming there. They're having to ask that question, asking about Arch, and if Georgia's being upfront and honest, as we know they are being, Jed, with talks from Cason Wiseman and things of that nature that he's told us. They're all in. They're not holding anything back. It's not like kind of Alabama's doing with keeping Eli Holstein on the side burner over there. They're all in. They're all in on this one, and I think that having those guys that he's so familiar with, and Justice Haynes and Pierce Spurlin, like we said, is a big deal in this first weekend.
Yep.
All right. Well, I was looking for Trent to jump in there. All right, we'll go move on to enough Arch Manning talk. All right, so here we go. PA Dog 610. Haynes commits after June 3rd visit. True or false? I say true. All right, I'll let y'all handle that.
You said true?
He said no. PA Dog said I say true.
Oh, I wasn't reading. I thought you said you said true.
No, he said true or false. I say true.
I'm going to say false, but I don't think. I think it'll happen. I don't think it's going to go too long, but I'm going to say false for right after June 3rd.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And Jed, go ahead before I jump in there.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say technically June 4th would be after June 3rd, but whatever. But yeah, I think it's going to be after, because I think he's going to take these visits. We were just talking, Blaine, on Saturday about how he's taking this official visit to Florida. So instead of USC. So I think that visit's going to happen. I'm sure Ohio State. I think the visits are going to be taken. Do I still think he ends up at Georgia? Yeah, probably. But I don't think it's one of those things where he walks off campus Sunday and is calling the coaches, telling him he's committing before he's getting in the car. I don't think that's how it's going to. Could I be wrong? Sure, but that's not how I see it.
This is a kid who has ties to Georgia, could have committed at any time, and exactly. I don't think another kid that I don't think is just going to rush to a decision. I think even though I think Georgia is, the front runner, I think he's going to take his visits, because why not? He has up until this point. Why not finish it off and then you can always commit to Georgia after those visits if he chooses to do that. So
yeah, the only thing I would say, the scenario where you see that happening is like I said, not only is Pierce Spurlin tight with Arch Manning, he's also tight with Justice Haynes. I mean, Pierce is a guy who grew up in the Atlanta metro area, knows a bunch of those guys, and even though he's in the state of Florida now, and he's a very persuasive and relentless recruiter, right? I mean, he's going to, so if they have a great time, really hit it off, Dale McGee, and then put the full court press on there with the official visit. Would I be shocked if Justice Haynes commits at the end of the official visit? Absolutely not. But I also know enough about the Haynes family and kind of what they're about and how they operate that I just don't think they would go to all the trouble of rescheduling a USC official for a Florida official if they don't intend to take it. And then Ohio State has been right there, head to probably Georgia's biggest competition to date, for Justice Haynes. So I would suspect that Columbus would get their official visit. So I think it could happen by the end of the summer. I also think that Justice Haynes, regardless of what people's opinion is of it one way or the other, he wants to see how this summer goes with baseball, and he wants to see what his draft prospects are like once he goes through this summer. What's he hearing back from feedback on that end as well. So we shall see. Obviously, I believe, just like Trent and Jed, that when it comes down to Justice Haynes, he's a Georgia legacy. Lots of familiarity there. Kirby Smart's like family to those guys. So would I be shocked to see him commit after this first weekend? Absolutely not. But I feel it's more likely that it goes into the late summer. And a little tidbit for you guys: since he's moving to Buford, I was told by the Haynes family that Justice Haynes will be playing some defense for Buford as well, a little linebacker or strong safety action. So a little both two-way player for Buford this fall. Coach App's getting him a big time player for the Buford Wolves. So that's enough about Justice Haynes there. So like I said, a bunch of high profile guys. If anybody has any questions on the YouTube feed, go ahead and throw those up. We had a comment from Jeff Hightoff that said package deal of Hakeem Williams and Jalen Hill if we land Archie. Archie, that's really impressive. He's like
I don't know that you want Archie right now.
But Archie.
Archie.
Yeah, but I think Jalen Hill probably is more tied to Arch Manning maybe when it comes to that. Being a guy from the state of Texas and everything that goes on there with Georgia and Texas kind of going head to head. But, Hakeem Williams, he's going out. There's, percolating rumors about him and Texas A&M. So we'll see. I definitely think Trent, if Arch Manning commits, it's going to get the attention of high profile receivers. Which ones? Don't know exactly sure. There's different cases that can be made, but it's going to get the attention of high-profile receivers.
The oil's not dry in Texas, is it?
No. There's plenty of. And did you know that Jimbo Fisher come out today and said only one of their 11 early enrollees has an NIL deal? Only one. Only one of those guys who are already on campus. He said that today. He said anything else anybody tells you is just flat out lies.
Open range request.
I am here I want to see a Jimbo versus Nick Saban, like old school cage match, like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes style cage match. I think that would be great on pay-per-view. Would make a lot of money. We could get a lot of people involved.
To me, I just think it's funny how these coaches just keep saying, well, the school, we had nothing. We didn't pay them. Well, no crap. I mean, we know who's paying them. It's not the school. It's it's who the school is getting then. Deion's come out and said, well, the school ain't paying no $1 million.
Yeah. Deion said that. And then PFT commentator from Barstool said, no, Deion didn't pay anybody. We paid him about $2.5 million, but Deion didn't pay him anything.
I mean, Barstool's made that very public of what they've done. So there ain't nothing the school necessarily. The school's not coming out of pocket and doing something, but I think they're working hand in hand. And then, of course, that's the reason why when you transfer somewhere else, that thing's going to go void. But
yeah, I don't understand how these. I would like there to be record of all the contracts and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you get when contracts get announced in the NFL, it gets put out on, it gets put out. Adam Schefter comes across, said, so and so signed for 5 years, $60 million. Here's the terms of the contract. I mean, if we're going to be doing this, then we need to see the terms and all of those things that are going on. Otherwise, if you don't have anything to hide, then what are we doing? I mean,
what is this Barstool's deal? Is this it's a 1 year deal? Is it a 2 year deal? Because I mean, when are you gonna hit the portal? I mean, if you do choose to go that direction, so
heck with Barstool, they could. I mean, they don't. Who cares? I mean, they could just say, hey, we just get exclusive rights to you all the way through the NFL or something like that. Documentary rights. I mean, and that would be if Travis Hunter turns out to be what everybody thinks he's going to be, basically the reincarnation of Deion Sanders. That would be worth the money because of what he would produce them on the back end. I mean, so some of these deals are warranted. Some of them are absolutely foolish. I mean, those guys up in Columbus that ponied up the money for Columbus, Ohio, that ponied up the money to get Quinn Ewers up there last year and then got held, holding nothing. I mean, that has to make them feel sick for sure. And there were still Quinn Ewers advertisements that he had filmed for some people up there still airing in Columbus, even after he had transferred to Texas. So
I just wonder if that was the plan all along. I mean, you go up there, you knew you weren't going to play as a freshman, you collected all this money, then you hit the portal and you went and drew another big deal.
Oh yeah, I mean it's happening. It's happening all over the place when it comes to these NIL deals. Now I will say this: I think the amounts are highly exaggerated at sometimes, and I think sometimes guys are using this climate to their advantage. Whether some of these guys that say, "Hey, I just got offered $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to transfer." How do we know they got offered that? But all they have to do is say they did get offered that. And then there's pressure from the NIL community at their own school to work to match that, to keep them there. Coaches, whether they want to admit it or not, have to worry about this stuff now because there's rumors that Jordan Addison out of Pittsburgh, who won the Biletnikoff Award that just went to USC, rumors that it's $3.5 million, the deal the overall package they put for him. I mean, that's just asinine to me. That's more than like 3 times what George Pickens is going to make as a second round draft pick.
The Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons don't have a wide receiver making $3.5 million. So
collectively, you put all the Falcons receivers together, they're not making.
I mean, he's probably better than any of the Falcons receivers too. So,
yeah, maybe so. They they got Desmond Ridder, so gotta be excited about that, right? But there's lots going on when it comes to Georgia football recruiting. We got all these visits coming up in the month of June. You want to make sure you're tuned into the locked into the vault, and that you catch all the comments coming out. Like I said, we're going to be hitting the ground. Jed's going to be making visits to people at high schools around the state of Georgia, 7-on-7s. We're going to be going out to these. So there's going to be lots of information coming out. The month of June is absolutely packed. Got Jamal Jarrett coming in the second weekend of June. All those guys that we mentioned in the first weekend. So it's going to be one weekend after another, just packed with big official visitors.
Hey, Jed.
Yep.
When's the next rankings released?
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, Jed's the he's responsible for the Rivals rankings.
He's gonna have a lot of questions to answer on rankings day.
We have meetings. Let's see, meetings are next week. So
the following week, middle of June.
Well, I guess I don't know.
Mid-June, probably.
Hang on. We'll give you guys a peek behind the curtain here because I don't know where I got it written down somewhere. Because the meetings are about 23 and 24, but I don't think they're released at the same time. I don't know.
I was usually thinking it's around mid-June because it's right after camps.
Okay, so let's see. So the 23 class will be for early June, but the 24 ones will be late July.
Gotcha.
It looks like if I'm reading my little list here right. But I think we're having the meetings all at the same time.
Jed May, national analyst.
Yep.
If you want to try to influence those, Jed, you can put his Venmo account out there.
If anyone has any requests, you got 9 days to get them in. So
absolutely. So good stuff, guys. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Like we said, we had a lot of guys at the Rivals camps. We will touch on that real quick before we go here. Cameron Davis was there, 2024 running back who's committed to Florida State, wants to play both baseball and football in college. I talked to him. Dell McGee is, hot in pursuit there. I mean, he's not giving up. I talked to Callum Fox, who's a outside linebacker / tight end. He's being taught. He's
great catching the ball.
Yeah, and he's being taught to, like I said, by Todd Hartley still. He's being taught to by Uzo Deribe. Kirby Smart is keeping his eye on him from what he said. We'll have an article on that coming out. Jed talked in detail with Sammy Brown. We'll have another that article already went out today, in fact. So, we got a lot of guys that we talked to at the camp. So any other guys that come to – I talked to Jalen Crawford, a 2024 defensive back who's being recruited by Georgia, LSU, Alabama, others. So there's lots of guys. Jed, any stories you got coming out soon?
Yeah, there's a kid, Sokovi White, who actually was very impressive as a receiver on Saturday. He told me Georgia's recruiting him as a defensive back. So that kind of had to rework my questions on the fly there. And then there's a kid from Brunswick named Devin Smith, outside linebacker, 24 kid, has been picking up offers like crazy this spring. He's going to be in Athens. I think he said the first week, first or second sometime for a camp. I wouldn't be shocked if Georgia ends up offering, maybe not then, but at some point. And he's a kid to keep an eye on as his recruitment develops. He's blown up a lot this spring.
Tavion Gadsden was a guy who fits that Uzo Deribe mold, right? Him and he's more defensive lineman and maybe more of in a Vic Burley type body type, but he's long, creates good leverage. He was there working out, looked good at the Rivals camp. Like we said, Kavion Henderson, an outside linebacker that we talked about earlier in the 2024 class from Leeds, Alabama. So again, the state of Alabama, the state of Georgia is just putting out a ton of talent. It seems like Georgia doesn't have to travel far to try to land their guys here in these last couple of classes. So, but guys, that's pretty much it. Be looking for all the Rivals camp fallout, any recruiting news leading into the next weekend of official visits. And for Jed May and Trent Smallwood, I am Blaine Gilmer, and we will catch you guys next time on UGA Sports Rumors versus Facts.